right, folks, I think it's about time we get started. Welcome to the March 20th, 2025 Monitor Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We'll call this meeting to order, and first thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll move on to roll call.
Meyer,
Here.
Legge,
Here.
Kugler, here, Schweitzer,
Here.
Zuby.
Here.
Okay, next item is the adoption of our agenda.
I believe we have to move that one communication up to the agenda.
So we have a modified agenda.
Yeah, the 4821 Fraser Road.
So we need to add the 4821 Fraser Road communication item. So the new
I
agenda.
believe so, yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion to
Well-
it?
I'll second his motion if we just add that to it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the January 16th meeting.
I'll make a motion that we adopt those minutes.
Okay,
Support.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Okay, now we'll open the meeting up for public input. So do we have any public input that doesn't pertain to the items for consideration? Anybody wish to speak right now? Okay, hearing no one, we'll move on to the items for consideration tonight. The first one up is item 09-100-W11-000-0400-00. Vince Doobie, 2339 Laura Court, a side yard variance and a rear setback variance. I'll go ahead and read the public notice that was given. To the property owners and residents of the Charter Township of Monitor. Please take notice that the Monitor Charter Township Zoning Board of Appeals will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, March 20th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in the meeting room of Monitor Township Hall, located at 2483 West Midland Road, Bay City, Michigan, 48706. The public hearing is at the request of property owners Rhonda and Kevin Olikowski to obtain 30-foot variance from the required rear yard setback of 40 foot, which will allow them to construct a dining room and porch 10 foot from the rear property line for property located at 2339 Laura Court, Bay City, Michigan, 48706, with a parcel number of 100-W11-000-040-000. Additionally, the applicants are seeking a variance for 12 foot and 4 inches for the addition of a new garage extending down the existing driveway toward the street. Pursuant to the Charter Township of Monitor zoning ordinance, being Ordinance 67 as amended, this home being in an R-1, a single-family residential district, is to have a minimum of 30-foot setback from the road right-of-way. Hence, the variance of 12 foot 4 inches would be required for the garage and a minimum 40-foot setback from the rear property line, which would require the 30-foot variance to have the home expansion to be 10 foot from the property line. You are welcome to attend, have others attend on your behalf to express your views. You may also provide written comments to the Zoning Board of Appeals and inspect the application and the diagram and survey of said property at the offices of the Township Clerk between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. and between 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Monday through Thursday, excluding holidays. Pursuant to the ADA, individuals with disabilities may request aid services within a reasonable time period to participate in the hearing. The Charter Township of Monitor will provide necessary, reasonable auxiliary aids and services, such as signers for hearing impaired and readers for printed materials being considered at the hearing, to individuals with disabilities who are present at the hearing upon 10 days' notice. Individuals requiring auxiliary aids or services should contact the township by writing or calling Linda Ferguson, Township Clerk, Charter Township of Monitor, Bay City, Michigan, 48706. Telephone 989-684-7203, fax number 989-684-9234. Jim Horan, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals. Okay, we'll go on and,
There's actually a mistake on the agenda that you notice is correct. It is a rear yard variance to put the dining room additionally, the garage is the front yard variance. And it's supposed to be 30 feet away from the road, and the diagram has it 17 inches. Up front. And this is 12 feet 4 inches.
okay. That makes sense.
Can I request these separately? Makes sense to
Yes,
me.
I think so. Discuss them separately. All right. So, do you wish to come up and speak, or,
I am the contractor, Kevin is the homeowner.
Okay.
So I guess maybe his hardship with the situation is probably better explained. Is that correct?
So which one do we want to start on first, if we want to do them separately? Want to do the garage or the rear place?
Whatever you
Either
prefer.
one. So right now, we have, it's like a 1.5 car garage, but there's, my wife's parents passed away and they kind of handed that down to us, so we bought her sisters and my wife. So we bought her sister out, and so it would be our house. But, in that garage, they bumped out on the other side of the kitchen, they made like a little small bathroom in there. So you can only get one car in there right now. And it'd be nice to at least have a two-car garage, to deal with. We don't have to come out that far up front.
I mean, that was something that we would like to have, but I mean, we could potentially shortcut length up to the garage.
Yeah, well, and I think we can go out to the east some more if we need to.
No, we only have 29 feet edge. So what is the side lot offsets? Would that also be 30 foot?
Total of 25 minimum. But that bump out, I think, I could see that, and then I think that bump out would be on another street, so that still requires the front yard setback from the street.
I wouldn't think so. This is really.
It's going to the east and the street is to the south.
The street is, the street
Yes,
is
but
to the west.
street that he's on the corner is actually on the west side of the home.
Okay,
Over-
then it's 10.
So it's 10, so I mean.
Minimum of 10, the other side of the have
Realistically,
minimum
we go
of 10.
another 19 feet to the east, so that we think there that we could eliminate the dump off.
You wouldn't need a variance for that.
Not necessarily. Would still have to go. You know, so, right now we're at the 17 foot 8 off the easement line, we can actually bump that back up to 30, so you still have a little bit of a bump out coming out in front of the house. You still have a little bit of that.
And I think I read something that you can go like 5 feet out with a porch overhang, so we kept it in line with that. I think it would make it look.
Yeah, so we already were kind of considering coming up 6 foot, so if we did the same with the garage, so it'd be the same elevation there. So I guess, we could make allowances for the discrepancy in the variance as far as the garage addition. But primarily our issue now is the additional dining area in the back.
Yeah. So our problem with the dining area is we don't have one.
Well, let's finish the garage
Okay.
first. If you go out from your current house, the current 16 feet, and then you add another 28 feet, you get 44 feet. Now, that has to include the overhang.
Correct.
So, so you could easily build a 42 by 28. Is that what you're proposing?
We would have to,
Yeah, we would have to.
we have a 12 foot back here, so that would actually give us the 30. Yeah, I'd actually have to do the math here, to figure out exactly how that drives it. Would go up then. Send it down and come to this, I don't have that elevation, so let's see, it would actually be 34 feet from the back of the house, so theoretically it'd be 34 by 42.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, so basically it would be 42 foot wide by 35 foot deep off the home.
So you're gonna build the garage
More to the east instead of the front.
to the east. Are you going behind the house with the garage? No.
It would stay flush with
Okay.
the back of the home.
So the front line will stay as it
So
is?
the front line would actually do this, so we're actually proposing a 6 foot porch overhang on the front. So at that point, the garage would also be the 6 feet, and that would actually still allow us that 30 foot offset from the easement line.
Well, technically, I don't think it does. You've got an 86-foot lot, and your house is 28 feet, so you have 58 feet in the backyard and in the front yard. And the backyard, I believe, is 26-foot backyard. Because you're asking to put a 16-foot addition on with a 10-foot setback from the neighbor's property. So that would mean that you have 32 feet from the house to the front, to your property line. Yeah. So, you could technically do a garage that's 28 feet with a 2-foot overhang, and you'd still comply, because you have to have 30 feet. Doesn't that work out?
We'd have to do the math and redraw it for you, so you're right.
But at that time, as long as we were within the setback, that wouldn't necessarily require a variance at that point.
Correct.
So we'll discuss the actual size of what we're capable of doing as far as the garage. So instead of coming out, we'll just go farther to the east, and then we'll figure out what kind of help out in the front we can
We're
actually
doing
do.
that. That's a good idea.
good idea to table the garage.
Actually, we should have them go see the drainage issue. Because they're talking about the 5-foot patio intrusion from the house without a roof over it. But that's in the rear yard, it's not, section 3.29 doesn't define it for the front yard. So they would have to keep the 30-foot from the boulevard to the house. So, I saw the zoning administrator, and I saw that.
And you think tabling it, just in case you do have to come back, you only have to give two. I appreciate that, I live in Illinois.
And we shouldn't put a table right next to it.
Okay. Can we discuss can we go further with this, the patio or the dining room addition off the back of that one?
I don't know if it's here.
Are we gonna, have two separate issues? I think you prefer to have two separate issues. So we can table this issue right now and then move on to the separate issue of the rear variance.
Maybe you should get public comment.
Right, so at this point, we'll open it up to public comment, this issue.
I'll speak for my mom. I'm Gary Micah. My mom's Bonnie Micah. She really doesn't want anything there because all she does is go out and sit on her patio and the overhang. And she can only look in that direction. If they build something, she's gonna look right in their window. No view. Well, then she'll look at the back of your house. And when you put the garage there, where they got the garage, they got overhang, which is a temporary structure right now. You can go and screw and pull it away from the house. If they build something solid, you won't be able to look that way either. Because we're right next to them, and right where they're building is the only place she can see right now. Other words, she looks in all the other houses.
What's her address?
5401 Madison.
So,
Their house is right here, and the garage is over here, so.
Right here's the thing, she can go look that way.
Something catchable.
so you're more concerned about
Where is
having
it?
the bump out of the house come closer to the yard?
Yes.
Because the garage theoretically would be on the east side.
Correct.
It's the one directly behind you.
This one,
So, their temporary deal is right here, when they bump that up, all the views come.
So they aren't allowed to have a building within 10 foot of the property.
Right.
So they don't need a variance if they work that out with the zoning administrator. They would still need the variance that we're talking about to put the dining room onto the, I believe it's north,
The north side.
Yes.
yeah, which is fortunate.
Okay.
So that's, and right now, the board is talking about tabling the garage. And then they have to come back.
So with that addition on, you're still gonna be able to see everything you did before, because you can't see through the house now. So it's gonna be right in the back there. Where the deck is, it's just, we wanna be able to have if we have family over, somebody there with, they have dinner, we have no, he's running our house. There's nowhere to sit in there. For dining room. And we weren't gonna have,
Garage.
maybe way up, at the top, have some, just to let light in some stuff, but we're not gonna have windows or anything.
So I guess the way I designed it, there was a fixed window that was actually on the west side of the proposed addition, and then there was a transom window way up front.
Yeah.
So can we take a vote on tabling the garage issue if there becomes, if they are requiring a request till next month?
Yeah, does that require a motion?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
I'll make the motion to table the garage aspect of it.
I'll support that.
Okay, does that require a roll call vote or just a,
No, a table's just a voice vote. Let's give them the date so we have that though. That would be to April 17th? I believe the 17th.
17th.
Correct.
Yes,
That's when they can meet.
That's-
Okay.
if,
If
that's
you
the
go to
Thursday
see Mr.
before Good
Rushow,
Friday, so.
And he does all the math and you can fit your 30 by 40 garage and all the bearings, and then you come back.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to table it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that motion passes to table the front yard variance. We can move on to the rear yard variance, and we can talk about your dining room.
Okay, so it is like 5 foot by 7 foot table in there. And if you put chairs around it, we always have the table up against the wall, you know, like two chairs, one on each end. If you move it out from the wall and put 2 chairs, you know, proper amount of chairs around the table, you cannot, and I can show you this is, you mind if I pass these out, couple pictures?
No, go ahead.
This is looking down, that's our kitchen right there, and if you have anybody over,
Thank you.
you cannot walk, or, you know, eat and somebody get up and walk through without disrupting everyone else. So, right now we have a deck out on the back that, we don't really use, and if we could put that bump out to go in that space, that would really help us out. I was reading up on things, it said if you bump out, so it'd be a little bit less than what we had planned on doing. So if you bump out and keep the square footage of the room, the floor square footage at 240, you could get a variance to go 10 feet in the back. And I don't wanna go beyond that, so it would be a 15 by 16. So it wouldn't be quite as big as we had planned out for on the drawing. A little bit small. It wouldn't be as close to the property line, and it would go, is
So
the
we're
way.
15 this way.
Yep, 15 out and 16 along there.
That'd be nice to work those in that area.
Yeah, this wall that's inside the kitchen is a little bit straight away, because right now it kind of goes out. The wall in the kitchen's here, and it's goes out from that. Narrow one.
I'm not familiar with what you read, or, the variance is in your discretion, the only 10 foot is on the accessory building tables, and if you put in an accessory building of 600 feet or less, and you put in positive drainage, you can go to a 10-foot setback. But that's for an accessory building, not the primary house.
Right.
Primary house needs to have a 40-foot rear yard, and like you said, you have a 5-foot elevation, and it requires a different outcome. And then you have to go through all of your chapter 1810, 18:9, 3
And that's kind of why I'm here, there is a hardship due to where the property is and how it is on the lot. Everybody else, you can, if you get on Google Maps and look at the houses, especially on Maxine Court, they all have, on the west side of the road, they all, you can see, almost every one of them has a bumped out kitchen, so they started out with a house like ours, and then they got a bump out in the back, this is kind of like what we wanna do, and they probably ran into the same issue, they have a place that sits in the kitchen.
Originally, your lot size is 86 by 135. the 135 goes from east to west, and the 86 is south to north. I would almost think, since the house was built in 65, it was probably built before zoning ordinance. Am I at all incorrect? Okay.
I was still in high school. You had zoning, you were one of the first communities to have zoning. Your first ordinance was, I think, 1960.
60. Well, I look at your neighbor across the road, and his lot is 90 by 135. He doesn't realize that he has, same as you, a dual front yard. He has a fence on his north property line that falls within the 30-foot setback. So he considers his front yard to the west, and evidently his backyard must be to the east, because he doesn't have enough property. This is your neighbor's property, okay, and I got it from Beth. And if you take his 90 feet and you subtract out his garage, which is 32 feet, and his 5-foot breezeway, and his 36-foot house, he only has 24 feet left for both the north and the south side of his property. Well, on the north side, he's on a corner. He's supposed to have 36 feet, or excuse me, 30 feet. And on the other side, he can get away with as little as 10.
Is that just why the fence comes out this way then?
Well, the fence is on front yard setback. He has 2 front yards, just like you do.
Is that one court, one across?
Run right across the street. His driveway would run into the fence.
Remember, we modified the zoning ordinance in the last 5 years to say that county-owned recorded for fences will have 1 front yard, that's the address. And you can put a fence all the way on the property line on what is now a side yard.
But it can't be, he has a wooden fence that's, I don't know, at least 4 foot high, maybe 6, I don't know. He is solid, because when we,
Talking to the one immediately south of the.
immediately south of his, right across the road from his house.
And if that has a Laura Court address, that should have an open front yard in Laura Court.
His
It-
driveway's not on
It
Laura.
does,
Plays on Maxine.
his,
If it's got a Maxine address, then Laura Court, the north yard, has become a side yard. So that would allow him to have a fence.
but isn't the fence gotta be a see-through fence?
That's only if it's a front yard fence. I
So,
didn't write all of this, it's just tough to keep track of it.
yeah, yeah.
We again modified the ordinance like 5 times in the last 3 years to put those see-through fences in at a height of 30 inches.
Oh, okay. Well, this fence is not 30 inches, it's at least 4 foot. Up- Or 6? 5 or 6? Okay, okay.
But I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm
Look
just,
together.
What are we down to, if we need,
Well, their
Make it
their
smaller.
request is to cover basically the deck of the building and have a 10-foot rear yard instead of a 40-foot rear yard.
we still need a 30-foot?
Yeah, we don't
But
have,
he
we
d-
don't have that now.
he currently only has a 36-foot rear yard setback.
Or he doesn't have that.
It's 90,
Well,
He's got the 10-foot from the property line to the deck. And then he's got 12-foot for the deck,
About 15.
so that's 25-foot from the house to the rear property line, 25 feet.
the drawing says 17. The deck goes out
So that'd be 27, it's still less than 36. I'll meet you halfway, let's call it 30, just for
Fine,
simplicity.
fine.
But he's still, right now, he's short, and to put an addition on, he's gonna be more short, which is gonna increase the non-conformity. And I don't know how else you do it, but go through and see if it meets all the criteria for the variance.
I think it would meet eight. There's not, there's only like 6 or 8 houses in that subdivision that have the backyards like that. It's the ones on the short streets.
Yeah. I think there's 3 streets that go east of it.
And I think they're gonna meet more than just what we have.
Is there other subdivisions in our township
I
similar?
was thinking of just
Other-
this
So
subdivision.
you gotta think of the whole township.
And that's what I was thinking about too. I think we have a lot of older subdivisions in our township where a house like this might be more common.
Mhm.
All of the subdivisions across from the new, small,
Mhm,
farm.
mhm.
It would seem to me that if he's not allowed to put the dining room off the kitchen, the only other option he would have is to go west, which would mean, and I'm assuming it's a bathroom and a bedroom to the west of your dining room. But you can only go west, it was 40, what is it? It's 41.9 or 40.9 feet setback on that side, 41.9.
And so if they have 10 foot on the east side, they still need a minimum of 15, but that would still be the side yard for fencing because for court.
But you're saying he doesn't need 30 feet setback on the west side?
For the house he does, for the fence he doesn't.
Okay. Okay.
So if he's only got 41, that gives him his maximum knockout, 10 feet or less.
How many of these old subdivisions do you think we have?
We have a lot of them. I'm sure.
Can I have figures?
Carr, Thunderbird, Imperial, those are all narrow. I don't know if they're 86 feet narrow.
And they're all shallow, and most of
Yeah.
them, you can't get a pickup truck between the fence and the house, go to the landscaping on that.
Yes.
C would be the pillar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
If the kitchen was made a little bit smaller, would that help any?
No, I don't think so because it's already non-conforming. They already don't
Right.
have enough of a backyard setback. So,
Okay.
Going west, have you looked at that option, too expensive?
As far as going to the west,
Yeah.
basically saying that, move the bedroom, the bathroom, not the other one, and it's not the other.
I don't know who's
No wonder.
know what this
That's
goes to.
No, no,
It was in
That'll
there.
do.
Yeah, it was, but I don't know what it goes to.
Okay, so that's not it.
Yeah, I don't know what that goes to.
which one are you looking at?
Well,
One that we got
This.
handed out
This
tonight.
was sitting
This
in
one.
our
Oh,
seats. tonight.
Okay, that's the one I got, that's the one I got from Beth. The only thing wrong with that is that the deck isn't this far over, the deck is,
You mentioned that was your neighbor's.
no, not this one, this is his house.
Nope.
It's got the 16-foot garage, it has the 8-foot carport, which you don't have anymore, and it has 38 feet from the existing garage to the neighbor's property fence, or maybe it's your fence. The only thing that's wrong with this is this deck is not placed properly, because this bump out is, 2x6 bump out is right over in here by the kitchen.
This is it, right? This shows instead of 28, 29 feet from the front of the house to the back. So if the house is a rectangle, and it's 29 on the east side, it'll be 29 on the west side. So instead of 280 square feet or 11 feet, we can do 290.
Like going this way.
Yeah, 200, you can do 200 and almost 300 square foot. In addition, you have to move the bathroom and the bedroom over closer to, that might actually be easier variance to grant, rather than improving the front. That's not how it goes, so we
Well,
can.
that wouldn't be front yard, so that would.
Well, it's still a front yard because this is lower than this one. So it's still a street side. This is the front yard that I think, this becomes the side yard because this is the housing purposes. All of the houses are supposed to be in 32 acres road right there, so you can shoot cannon down the road. But it'd be easier to get an extra 5 foot building to the west, maybe. After you notice, and I'll argue again. As long as you're gonna table it for a month and go talk to the zoning administrator about the garage. Yes, you are, but I wouldn't want to tell you. You may be big, but he's faster. So, if you go talk to David about the garage, you might talk to him about what he thinks you could put for an addition on the west side. And then that would take care of this young lady's concern about having the house go closer to her house. But it would be going closer to the public way.
So I mean, as far as following the variance criteria, that proposed addition right now off the north side of the house, that's not actually possible. That's not right.
If you want to have a vote on it, we'll vote on it. They have three
Criteria.
Yeah, we have
Three
three
criteria.
criteria.
in order to grant one. It has to be found that by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of the specific parcel, which you have a very narrow parcel, or shallow, or other extraordinary situation of the land, or structure, or of use of the property, adjoining property in question, etc. A little enforcement of the ordinance would involve practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship. That one, Commissioner Zuby already said you might get that. Number B is practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship in carrying out the strict order, and a request is made to vary such regulations so that, in the spirit of the ordinance, can still be observed. While going from 40 foot to 10 foot, that would be amenable, if it's amenable, does that meet the intent of the ordinance? The big one that would create the problem is, where it is found that the condition or situation of the piece of property intended for the variance is not going to be unreasonably duplicated within the township. That's when we started talking about all of the narrow subdivisions that were built in the 50s and 60s, maybe in 72, but then they started, if you go over to Westgate, they got 150 foot deep by 100 foot wide lots. And they can do everything they want. But,
Thunderbird and Thunderbird.
Yeah, all of the car, the Cadillac, all of the cars over by the fencing store, I think. Yeah, so they were just built too small for, they were built as a two-bedroom bungalow for Brendan and Grandpa to retire in, or for starters with no kids. And you inherited something that, so, you can ask for the vote. If you ask for the vote, you may have to pay a fee. Not my money and not my decision. As long as you're gonna come back on the garage in a month,
We can table it.
we get this tabled and ask David how much he thinks you can go towards maximum, and keep it where it is in line with, you'll still need a variance for your rear yard, because the house only sits either 26, 27, or 30 feet as you argued off of the rear yard, but we know it's not 40 feet off.
So even though we stay within the offsets to the west, we're still gonna have to apply for a variance because we don't have the back set.
The house is already, planned. So if you're gonna expand that wall, either east or west, you need to get a variance to allow it. But it's already been noticed out to you, so if you go and talk to David within a week, and you get some relief on the garage, and whether you can put the kitchen or something in the garage, that may be helpful, I don't know what you can do. You're the contractor,
Well, it's just the form of the layout, because as the kitchen comes out, they got the small dining room, then it comes out into the kitchen, and then there was a bath that was added, that was actually added into the garage area. So, in that sense, that bathroom would have to come completely out, and then we're tucked into that garage space that we got.
Okay.
But going to the east isn't necessarily,
It's not gonna give you productive living
no,
space.
and, going to the west, basically rebuilding and demoing.
Half the house.
Yeah, half the house. So I guess that's up to you, whether they vote on what's possible with that addition or the,
Well, you can get a vote next month, and that way the garage is figured
garage
out.
is more in line.
Yeah, although you can ask what,
Sure, I get it. No, I guess, that's completely up to you. We can kind of try to redesign this, and I can talk to Dave.
If I go to the west, I might as well, there's gonna be a lot more land in there. Might as well put both doorknobs on it, that,
You're talking relocate the bathroom, which is
Yeah.
gonna be, but,
yeah.
it's basically used to be a cost for this plus. I would suggest just tabling all of it, let me talk to Dave, and, we'll see what we come up with as soon as I come. Then I'll make a presentation to you, and something that we think we can move forward with, or be comfortable with, as a council.
I'm good with changing my garage and going,
So table it. Okay, before we table it, we open it up to the public comment. All right, motion to table.
Well, wait, can I ask, the Micahs, what issue would you have if they would decide that they wanted to go out to the west of their house?
yeah, see, and right now, Joy, that main house wall, I read it as 16 to the depth and 10 foot from the property. So, if they can easily go 12 feet to the west without a variance, and still have a front yard setback. And they can do 29 times 12, Patty can do the math on that yourself.
I wasn't listening that close. I was
Sure.
looking at the drawings, I'm sorry.
And then, if Dave says you might get a 5-foot variance, maybe that would make, maybe it would make sense. But we can't vote on that till we publish it.
It's 348,
3.8?
348, 29.4.
Oh, okay. 3 times 12. It's about 350 square feet additional
Okay, so Joy, we have Duff made a motion to table.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Right?
yep, Duff. And we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion
Come back to
carried.
same April 17th meeting, which coming back to the garage. If you still need the garage. It would be nice, again, if you can meet with Dave within the week. I will, I'll reach out. Cause if you get it worked out, we don't need grand variances, if you can get it worked out. And let us know so we can tell the neighbors that it's all worked out, it's all legal, you guys need, although we're still gonna need that north wall variance to extend.
Right.
So, yeah, come back next month. Sorry. I think we'll go watch basketball.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Okay, moving on. Our next item up for consideration is item 09-100-300-240-02, Jeff Glasshauser, 4745 South Fraser Road, rear setback variance. I'll go ahead and read the notice that was given to the public. Property owners and residents of the Charter Township of Monitor. Please take notice that the Monitor Charter Township Zoning Board of Appeals will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, March 20th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in the meeting room of Monitor Township Hall located at 2483 East Midland Road, Bay City, Michigan, 48706, for the purpose of considering a request for variance filed by Jeffrey A. and Kelly J. Glasshauser, owners and operators of the property commonly known, referred to as J's Corner Store with a legal address of 1002 Michigan 48706 and 1018 Midland Road for the house next door. Said store address has recently been changed by the Bay County Central Dispatch Office to 4745 South Fraser Road, Bay City, Michigan 48706. The request is for 2-foot variance for the side yard of said store to be 8 foot from the property line to be created to sever the existing home, garage to the east from the store. In order to accomplish this land division and or split, it is necessary to have the property be in compliance with the zoning ordinance, and in order to have the northernly portion of the lot for the store, the newly defined lot line, it is proposed to be a minimum of 8 foot, which would require a 2-foot variance as opposed to the 10-foot requirement. On the south portion of the lot, adjacent to the garage, the house immediately to the east of this property, it is necessary to draw the property line of the diagonal and have the rear setback for the garage located on 1018 Midland Road to be 8 foot from the newly drawn property line instead of the 15 foot as required by the zoning ordinance. Ordinance 67 of the ordinances of the Charter Township of Monitor is a zoning ordinance which would require a 15-foot setback for the garage for the parcel that will remain at 1018 Midland Road, Bay City, Michigan 48706. The purpose of this variance request is to allow for the division of the property or split of property while maintaining dimensional setbacks as close to ordinance requirement, so that newly created property line, which has the store in a commercial zone, will have a minimum of 8-foot setback from the newly defined property line. You are welcome to attend, have others attend on your behalf, and express your views. You may also provide written comments to the Zoning Board of Appeals and inspect the application and the diagram and survey of said property at the offices of the Township Clerk between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m., and between 1:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday, excluding holidays. Pursuant to the ADA, individuals with disabilities may request aid services within a reasonable time period to participate in the hearing. The Charter Township of Monitor will provide necessary, reasonable auxiliary aids and services, such as signers for the hearing impaired and readers for printed materials being considered at the hearing to individuals with disabilities who are present at the hearing upon 10 days' notice. Individuals requiring auxiliary aids or services should contact the township by writing or calling Linda Ferguson, Township Clerk, Charter Township of Monitor, Bay City, Michigan, 48706, telephone 989-684-7203, fax 989-684-9234. Jim Horn, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals. All right. We can go ahead and hear from you, Mr. Glasshauser.
Good evening. I just have as you were going through this and reading it, and I don't know, maybe it's just terminology that I interpret what I'm seeing here, maybe a little different. In the first paragraph, you said it's a request for a 2-foot variance for the side yard setback of the store. That's now with the Fraser Road address, that's a rear setback now, correct? That east wall is a rear setback. That's why we changed the address to Fraser. So the east side of the store that runs along there, that is actually the rear of the store, if you're looking at the photograph.
Yep.
So that would be a rear setback, instead of a side setback, which is still the way I requested it, a 2-foot setback off of a 10-foot allowed from the rear. It would be a 2-foot variance, because I only have 8 feet now instead of 10 there at that point. I just want to make sure I'm understanding right, we're all talking about the same thing.
And unfortunately, in the business district, which the store is, the rear yard setback when it abuts an agricultural or residential zoning district shall be a rear yard of no less than 25.
Okay.
So now we
But my
have,
home is in a commercial, my home
Yeah.
and everything is zoned commercial.
okay, so that's back to 10 foot.
Yeah, it's both, the whole property, one right now is zoned commercial, so.
Oh, and number 3 is a 15-foot side yard outside of the building. No accessory building, this is an accessory building. In all other cases, there shall be a rear yard of no less than 10 feet. So we're still at the same.
Right, so that's why it was 10 foot, I only have 8 to the edge of the line where I would like to make the property line, looking for that 2-foot variance for the split. And then if you look at the diagram, and because I heard north on the setbacks, and north is all set, we've done that variance when I was here 4 years ago to do that variance. So that was all that. The one on, if you look at the diagram that that's actual, a certificate of survey,
Oh, yes.
yeah, it's just a broader view. Looking for the variance for the house for the garage, instead of 15 foot, it would be a 7-foot variance because it would give you that 8 foot. My goal was to have everything lined up, so the back of the store, the east side of the store, which is now the rear of the store, as it runs along, that line would shoot straight to the south side of the existing property. It would be 8 foot from the house, or from the garage, and that, so it would require a 7-foot variance, that's what I'm requesting. And then when it comes down to the corner of the garage, on that blown-up drawing picture that I gave you, it angles at a diagonal to come to that 2-foot variance. So I'm trying to give the store property as much property I can, with allowing everything to be kind of squared off as best as possible. And that's why the 7-foot variance is on the garage, and the 2-foot variance is on the store. And I consider the side property of the garage as being
needs 15 foot to the property line. I'm requesting a 7-foot variance and only giving it 8 foot to the property line. And then as it comes down and hits the corner of the garage, it angles to the 2 foot, so that we get the variance for the back of the store at 8 foot with a 2 foot variance. That's why the 2 separate variances, the 2 different distances, trying to accomplish both at the same time.
As confusing as this is, you did a good job. You did that.
I agree.
And I know you've been through a lot with this piece, because I can't remember if you came before us or the planning commission, but I know you were talking about trying to get the address changed
Yeah,
for a while too,
They were
so
here.
it's been a long
And
road.
years before
yeah.
that, when I first bought it, it had like a little shed on the east side of the building, and I asked for a variance to enclose it. Well, I didn't know that it only was good for a year, so when I got ready to do it, I had to come in and pay and do another variance for the exact same thing, which you guys were very kind to let me follow through it. But so, yeah, it's, I mean, my own making there, but no, it's been a long process. Treasurer, or the assessor, that has done outstanding work with Bay City acquisition, Bay County acquisitions, with somebody there to help me get this address changed and do the process and follow through. Having come here, finding the steps, we're just taking those steps now, and that's why we're here today.
When you were here the last time, asking where you, and I think eloquently you asked, who should I go to? Should I go to ZBA? Should I go to the Planning Commission? And I remember Mr. Horn saying, you should come to us. But I also remember him saying that he thought, and I hate to say this, because your property in the back by the garage and your patio to the house is very nice, and you put a lot of time and effort into it, you can tell. I remember Mr. Horn saying that in order to separate the properties, you would have to move the garage. Do you remember him saying that before you left?
If I wanted to put the garage with the store, because that was one of the 2 options. And my understanding was I would have to move the garage. I mean, he said either way, to make it easier, without variances, you move the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And that. But my understanding was, because my plan was to either leave the garage with the store and run the property line, but then now the property line's too close to the house as the side variance. If I left the garage with the store and split it on the east side of the garage, the west side of the house, it would have been too close there. So my decision was to split it on the west side of the garage and just get the 2 variances, the 8 foot on the one side, or 7 foot on the one side, and the 2 foot on the other side.
Your objective, keep the garage at the house.
Yeah, I mean, my objective was to split the property. If it was easier to keep it with the store and do it with the store, I have room on the opposite side of the building, that if I had to put a garage in somewhere, I could do that. But seeing that would have been more costly and more problematic to actually have that split there, it was just request the 2 variances.
But you told me you had 54 feet from the house
Mhm.
to the
Back of the store.
to the store, yeah.
The east side of the store to the west side of the house.
Okay.
It's 54.
That's, you told me
Yeah.
54, yeah,
54.
yeah.
I think for the split, the goal would be, if you wanted to sell one or the other, you would have to sell both.
Realistically, yes, sir, in today's market, I don't think there's anybody in the same situation we are that could buy the store and the house at what we feel is fair market value now, and work it the way we've been able to. Kelly has a good full-time job. We haven't had to count on her as I built this property up. Everything that we've made in the store has gone back into the store to allow us to put the expansion of the store, allow us to make the improvements to the store. We got a liquor license at the store. We've done everything to make the store, but now that it's got that value, somebody coming in there, in our situation, it would have to be somebody that could handle both those payments, because that would be, together now, it's quite a payment. And it would be quite hard. It would be a needle in a haystack finding someone that was in work the store all the time, get it built up, while their spouse was off actually making the money to keep us a household.
So, if I may jump in here, so the reason for the split is to separate the two pieces of property? It's not, my thought was, by kind of creating that second address, that if the fire department was dispatched for a call, they might be confused as to where to go, whether it's the house or the store. And by giving them two separate addresses, they would be more apt to go to the right, be dispatched to the right location. That was one of the things that was going through my mind when I got the letter. I didn't realize that
That we've always had two separate addresses. It's always had,
it's always had
it's
two
always
separate
two
addresses.
addresses,
Oh.
one property, one lot, two separate
But it was a
addresses.
Midland Road address
And a
actually
Fraser Road
with-
address.
No,
Now
it was two Midland Road addresses,
Only one.
yes.
Yeah.
When, I'm sure,
So it
back
didn't
when you
make
were
much
here,
sense to have a Midland Road
in the
address
thirties or
for
whenever
that
it was
store.
built, that there was just a tiny shack and it faced Midland Road. That's why it got its Midland
Now
Road
it
address.
faces Fraser.
And now since, you've been there much longer than I have,
Right.
but, I gotta say, it's gotta be 50 years now it's been facing Fraser Road, the door entrance.
I mean, even the mailbox was on Fraser Road, so.
Oh, okay.
And it can
I
have,
didn't realize until I read that there was actually two separate addresses.
Joey, do you need his name for the minute?
I would like your name for the minutes.
This is John Kelly. I'm the neighbor across the road.
he services all my politicians too, doesn't actually job. So when
I was just concerned, of the fire dispatch, and then I read that part about the Fraser Road address and something about dispatching and everything that maybe that was why we were doing this, is to eliminate any confusion as to,
No, it actually came through dispatch was the ones that were technically the ones who authorized the change in the address. And, we've gone through consumers, post office,
Gone through everything.
anybody and everybody got to here, got to Beth, and she was able to put us in a direction that helped us make
well,
that happen.
and then the other thing, I don't know if you knew this, Jeff, or not, but down the road, this is the second or third time that this issue has been brought to this board. And previously, the board voted no not to divide the property for whatever reason, I don't know. So, and that's another reason why I was surprised to see it again, to be proposed to split it. And then when I seen that about the dispatch thing, then it dawned on me maybe there was a legal, thing far as emergency calls and stuff like that. It could be confusing, somebody could be hurt at the house and they go to the party store, I mean, that's what was going through my mind is,
So I appreciate you bringing up to somebody out here that might not have known that before, that it was pronounced wrong.
Well,
We'll go from there.
but Jeff,
I don't think
there was
No.
no discussion, now, let me clarify something.
No, we're good.
So we're,
There
yep,
was no
it's not-
discussion about the change with the
We're gonna let the
dispatch law.
board discuss it first,
Right,
and
right.
then we'll open it up.
I'm just saying, that's come
Yeah.
to light just recently, so.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna open it up for the board
Yeah,
discuss
I
it
just-
first, then we'll open it
yeah.
up to the public.
Okay.
The only one, number C, I see a problem with is, we're just gonna be creating a residential house in a commercial district.
But it already is,
It's already there,
it
right,
already
right.
is. See, I think C is the easiest
I
one,
th- I do
because
too.
it's not recurrent, we're not going to run across
Right.
this in
I-
other areas
I
of
agree
the
with you,
township.
yeah.
well, what about A? Where the bottom three lines of A, that the zoning board of appeals shall not grant a variance on a lot if the owner or members of his or her family own or owned adjacent land which would, without undue hardship, be included as part of the lot. For instance, he owns both pieces of property. And he wants a variance on the lot line. I mean, if he was a farmer or if he was a homeowner and had the party store as his house, and he wanted that lot line, so, I don't know, the farmer that wants to, or the homeowner that wants to put up the big shed, wants to put it up closer to the lot than what the ordinance requires, can't if his father owns the property next door, or his brother.
Why is that there? Do you understand it?
Sure, so you can't create a hardship. 'Cause it's not really, I mean, follow Joy's logic, and Jeff has already identified in his initial discussion, that he wanted to keep the garage with the house, it just made no sense, but he could theoretically keep the house with the store. So, he theoretically could, instead of having the red line of the survey, which is the new proposed lot line, instead of having it go down the edge of the driveway, could go over 2 feet so that it's a 10-foot setback that is met. Doesn't make any sense really, because who wants to buy a driveway that they can't use if the neighbors get into a fighting match and somebody puts a fence up on their property line? Now you've got a 10-foot wide driveway, but only 8 foot of it left to drive. Similarly, he could take the rear yard, and instead of angle it this way, he could do a 90-degree behind the store and put the 15-foot between the property line and the garage. So the question becomes, is this really connivance by the property owner to maximize value, maximize sale, minimize conformity, or is it really because we have a chicken and an egg already in the basket together, we want to divide them out? Is this a sensible way to do it? No. But you can certainly say, Joy, no, you actually can make this happen without a variance, we think you should do. So, and you've got, I think, did Joy say 54 feet between the store and the house?
Yes.
So would there be enough to just draw a straight line between them, keeping the garage setback on the store property and the 10-foot setback to the house?
I'd have to see what you're talking about, draw the line where?
Straight line back here.
Okay, then you wouldn't, but there's not that distance between here and the house.
That's my question.
Yeah, there's not enough distance there. This is, and we can do if this is 53 feet here,
Right.
okay, it's 8 foot to the edge here, and it's 32, or 24 and a half foot across the front of the garage. That's 32 feet, so now you're talking 22 feet here. Approximately 20 feet here across this from that part of the garage to the,
You only need 10 feet from the house
Well,
to the
house
west.
The house is zoned commercial, that's part of the problem, we have to rezone the house to residential to get down to 10 feet. Otherwise, in the commercial zone,
side.
side yard
25.
of 15 foot is required, and C lot plus the C line zone. So he's only got 22
Oh.
between the edge of the garage and the edge of the house.
So
And
now
you
you're
need
very
15 foot for the house
and 15 for the garage.
and 15 for the garage. Since,
He'd need a variance anyway.
yeah, he could do a straight square, cut it in half type, 2 squares, but he'd still need 2 variances. One for the house and one for the garage.
And I, what I'm looking for, I could very easily make the lot line 15 foot on the west side of the garage instead of 8 foot. I was just trying to square everything up so it wasn't,
And
so you're not,
You could do that, and then you end up having somebody
Just
cut your grass, or fighting over who owns that.
it's not even that, because my goal was, is, once I do that, is to put a nice fence up there and get it, you know what I mean, so that it's not, I can get around the back of my garage then, and I've got room to get around, I can pull things in there, whatever I wanna do. It was more about, if I come down there and I square it, now where do I square it? Because now my line has to be, how far off the side of the garage, if I squared that off here,
if I took this out to 15 foot, at what point can I come down here that I've got enough room here for a variance and enough room here for
So
variance?
then that would be,
You know what I mean?
that would be a side yard on a commercial. so
On a
it'd be
commercial.
15 feet again.
So, okay, so but I don't have 15 feet to give me
On the
here,
on the
to
north,
give
south.
me here and from the garage.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't have enough
So
room to
every
get both
place
sides.
you turn around, the math is coming to bite you in the butt.
Is to give me to do it by the angle and get the two variances. And what this variance did was it just squared it back. So if you look at the corner of the building if you're looking, standing at the north of the building, the north side of the building, looking down the edge, the property line would basically, would square up down here. And if you're looking here, this property lines up with this part. So it just cleaned it up, is all I was trying to do with that small angle in there.
Have you considered moving the garage, either one way or the other?
Have I considered it? No. If I had to move the garage, it would have to go all the way to the
East side.
west side of the east side of the house.
You said that's
And then I have
32?
that, space on the far east side of the house, what's the,
The right away, yeah.
the right of way for the,
Yeah.
for the
He's-
water that
Can't
runs back to
use
the
all
trailer
of
park.
that yard.
So I can't do anything with that, it's just grass there that I
Yeah,
can't do anything with.
it's
There is no waterway there, Jeff, it's on the
He's
east
got
side of
an
the house.
easement for the water
There's
main.
an
There's
easement.
no road.
Oh,
Exactly.
really? How wide is that easement?
40 feet. So.
Oh,
So you could attach the garage to the house, maybe somebody would like an attached garage in there.
We've talked about that, but again, now you're still having to move something for the variance on the other side. So now you're talking about moving the garage and building another garage.
Right. Same place we were with the last one. So this is what you've come up with as the best solution.
All the way around.
Okay.
And the money
On a
that we put
non-conforming
into
pro-
the storage for a home is
Almost
A
to the
lot.
township's benefit, that they have them as resaleable as possible. Do we want them to be able to sell it at a good price?
Well, and I think there's, from their perspective, there's an advantage to split it,
Yeah.
to separate.
We'd like to
those
stay,
pieces.
you know,
Oh,
but,
I just
But
think that
still
would
to
just-
have them
right,
as
yeah,
separate.
exactly,
separate
down the road.
parcels.
And the other thing is, and I keep losing my train of thought here as I go through this. That, I can't think of any other way that would make it logical to state, and the only reason that, like I said, the only reason it was the diagonal with the second variance for the 7 foot was just to kind of clean things up, so I didn't have just a funky, now, like you said, now you're turning this way, now you've gotta worry about a variance here and a variance here. From the angle down, you don't have that. This is a 7-foot variance, this is a 2-foot
North,
variance.
south between the Baptist store and between the garage.
It was required 15 feet when Dave come out to measure it, and I think it was just over that.
So not 30 days.
No, couldn't, no.
Well, according to A, it says, if the owner or member of the family owns or own adjacent land, well, they own all the land. There's not another family member that owns there's no other family member that owns adjacent, they own both, the whole parcel. So I think A is fine.
And I think C is fine.
Okay, who's got B?
I agree with
Do you really, Mr. Shepherd, do you really think A is fine?
That's just my opinion
The-
on that.
You know,
And again, we have the three different criteria that
A
we have.
is only fine if you find that the unique circumstances of this parcel of property require a waiver. And it's not capable of being resolved by just artificially moving the property line to make it square or a rectangle or a straight line. And that's why we did the exercise of going through if this, if that. If you move the property line between the house and the garage, you still need 2 variances. If you need to move the property line and turn it on a 90 degree from the edge of the driveway to
own it, it's not really gonna be sellable because it still is gonna require 2 variances. That's the only way you can justify it.
If the garage wasn't there, and he has 54 feet,
Then you'd be great,
then he'd have no problem.
correct. But the garage, I was asking, that's 32 across,
It's 24 across, 32 deep.
32 deep.
two-car garage, yeah, okay. Yeah, and actually, the ability to move the garage 10 feet would be wonderful, but is it practical?
It's about that water easement.
Well, the water easement's
It's
on
Well,
the other
that-
side, but I mean,
I mean, he
can't
can
really move it.
theoretically, if he had the right contract at the end of desire, and the money, have somebody move it 10 feet and, create a 15-foot straight line.
But
Then
it's not
you'd have
really
to
a
stand-
reasonable requirement.
Then I have to
Can't
tear
go
out,
over
then I have
that.
to tear out brand new fencing that I put in there, just because, and I understand you guys are just looking at it
We're
on
not
your end.
arguing with you yet.
I know, and I'm running through. The other point that I lost, my train of thought earlier that I lost is, the benefit for the township, I think, is, just like the benefit for me is financially 2 properties versus 1. It's also, on the taxes, I would imagine that my taxes are gonna go up, because I have 2 different.
Well,
so
you
you're
can
gonna
let
have tax-
yourself a little bit.
I understand that, but you know what I mean, so that also helps the township with the higher
Well,
taxes for
that's
the
not
2.
supposed to be our job.
I understand that, so.
Well, if he was granted the variances, would both properties stay zoned as commercial, or would one be
Yeah, we're not
residential, one be
rezoning.
commercial?
We're not rezoning.
Yeah.
Can't rezone.
So they both stay commercial. He can pay $1,000 and ask the planning commission to rezone his
To
house.
zone it residential.
Cause it's, the house, as I understand, the house on the east side is residential.
Yes.
His house is commercial, the store is commercial. So whether the house east line is the dividing line, or the new dividing line becomes the zoning district dividing line. But that's a different board and a different public
That's-
hearing we'll get another set.
That's down the road.
We've always said that we can't base our decision on financial.
You can on hardship.
But there would be no hardship if the garage was moved one way or another.
Except for just the cost.
Well, it's an existing building now, it's not like
It's
a
not-
financial.
It's not like he's looking to
Build it.
build a garage and this is where he wants to put it, this is where it already is.
A lot of the variances could be moved if you moved a whole house.
You're
We don't
looking at
ask people to do that.
1810A, second, third or fourth line down. Extraordinary situation of the land or structure or use of the property. So A takes into account the structure or use, store, garage. But again, I'm glad I don't have to vote. Cause you want to follow the rules, that's why you have the rules there.
All I'm asking is if we meet the criteria, that's the way we vote. I understand that that's what it is. My understanding was, the way I looked at it, that, and I didn't notice the family thing, but just the criteria that I've read is what I sent my opinion. I think we met everything that we needed to, so.
Well, and
Yeah.
Joy's absolutely right,
Yeah.
we've turned people down where they bought 3/4 of an acre from dad, who's a
Yes.
farmer, and they could easily get another 50 foot and get it all over.
Yep.
That's one.
No, I'm the secretary of the Eagles Club, and we have a meeting tonight where I'm initiating 3 people, so that started at 7:30. So I knew I was late behind it, so they're waiting for me. I was just seeing how far we're
mentioned it a second on the agenda.
I didn't know that. First one.
I'll make.
We're good, we're good. Believe me, I don't want you to rush to make a decision for me.
I think
I
we're
want
right.
us to,
Yeah.
I want a good decision, I don't wanna leave out of here having to think that I pushed you in on anything. That's
Okay.
why I
Okay. I think, I'll make the motion that we approve the, 2-foot variance, and a 7-foot variance for the request. And that, I'm gonna start with C first, because I think that one's the easiest one. I think it's pretty much,
1810C.
Okay.
Subdivision requirement.
Okay. It's, pretty unusual that, it's not gonna be a general or recurrent in the township. There's not many where we got residents right next to a commercial building. It's in the commercial district. Practical difficulty or necessary hardship in tearing up the strip litter, the ordinance would be, they would have to build a new garage or move a garage. And I think that would be, we usually don't ask anybody to move a house or garage to conform to an ordinance.
Is that 1810B?
Yes. And then A, 1810A, it is exceptional, just because of the way the existing structures already exist on the one parcel. And to separate a business from residential home, I think, it would be exceptional traffic conditions of the current situation of the land and the structure. And, I really don't know how to do the last sentence, but, it's, I mean, it's not that they have another family member that's gonna benefit from the
Right, it's
split.
Oh, well,
It's the existing
And
family.
the zoning board of appeals has considered that the applicant owns both lots, but there is no way to split these parcels without granting at least 2 variances of one sort or another.
That's,
So it's not that I want it, it's that it's the worst, the best situation and the bad.
Okay. All right.
I would support that.
Did you get that, Joy?
Not quite all of it. I want 1810A. I got 1810C and B.
Duff was saying that it needs some relief because of the uniqueness of the parcel as built. And that we, the ZBA, consider that the applicant owns both lots, but there's no way to allow this split without at least 2 variances under any circumstance. So it's not a effort to avoid those variances of the ordinance, it just is a necessity. Yeah, I'll send you my Venmo account or whatever.
Can I ask a question before we vote, though?
Oh, no.
Can I ask a question?
I'm gonna have to pay you now.
Are we opening up a can of worms? Because do we have a situation with the dentist office on Midland Road? Because isn't there a house there? There's a house there that isn't it Dr. Ruff, where there's the dental practice and then there's a home there? And haven't we had discussions where they can't separate that out to make it a,
No, that's the vet clinic.
oh, the vet,
down.
okay, I knew it, so, but it's the vet clinic and the house, and didn't we have?
That's all on the same lot, but they don't have enough frontage and square footage to make them legal.
Okay,
Where this has enough frontage, both Midland and Fraser, and square footage
Okay.
to be legal lot.
okay, I just wanted to be careful that we weren't getting ourselves into a situation where they could then come back and say, well,
That was another bonus of moving it to Fraser. It gave me more than enough frontage on the split,
Okay.
that I wouldn't have had as much if it would have stayed at Midland Road. That's a good point. It would have been close to the 155 or whatever it was. So moving it there, it's 180 something.
And thank you for the math, but just to tell you, I had to take a math test to get into college. Yeah. But I'm too old now, I've learned what it means out to.
That's tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I spent 21 years in the Coast Guard reading variants and having to do the math, so that's where I get my numbers from.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
okay, so we have a motion, we have a second.
This is a roll call.
We have to open it up to the public.
I think we already did a couple of times. Do you have anything else?
Anything
No,
else?
I understand everything very clearly now, and I don't see any other way around it either, myself personally. It makes a lot of sense to me.
You're the first witness we're gonna call when we get sued.
Oh, thanks a lot.
We got your name.
Jeez.
That's speed dial.
Okay, so,
Okay.
want me to read it?
Yes.
I'll try. Zuby moved that we approve the 2-foot variance and the 7-foot variance. 1810C would not be so reoccurrent. 1810B we would not expect the applicant to move his garage. 1810A needs relief because of the way the buildings are built. The ZBA has considered that the applicant owns both lots, and if the property were to be split, there is variances that would or must
This is required under any circumstance.
requested under any circumstances, okay,
I think that's what that said.
okay.
Put your legs behind you.
Okay. Schweitzer supported. Okay, so a yes to approve. Meyer,
Yes.
Schweitzer,
Yes.
Lyday,
Yes.
Zuby,
Yes.
Kruger. Yes. Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
We'll need this.
I'll be with, I'll get the kitties out there to resurvey everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Get this done. You
Yeah.
only have a year.
Well, Beth's already done all the paperwork for the division. She's been working on that end of it, so,
Needs a survey description.
yeah, we'll get the survey done by Kitty and get it back into work. So, we're, all that done. Thank
All
you
right,
very much.
have a good night.
We've already got a few parcel IDs already.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No,
Well, this
We just,
discussion on this,
yeah,
board,
no,
nope, we don't have to talk about it?
we do
there
the,
is
the
in
fridge.
your handy dandy ordinance forever, including the new one we just got passed out. Section 18.09, chapter 18 is zoning board of appeals. Time limit on variances.
Ah.
Any variance is only good for 12 months, as Mr. Glasshouser just told us.
Told us.
Well, and that's what I was going to, that's what I was going to say is, shouldn't it should be 12 months, just like,
And if he doesn't
everything
comply
else.
within 12 months, doesn't get everything moved the way it's supposed to be moved, then his variance is revoked, he's gotta pay it all over again, and he's gotta come and sit for his supper, or I take him to court. If Jim will have a buffer.
So it has to been more than 12 months for this?
No, this,
no,
I think,
it's
I
September.
think,
It was Sep-
November of 24. Special township
Yeah,
one.
he's-
Oh, okay.
He certainly knows he has a year,
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah, so,
I
that's
thought
why
it
we
was
put that in
September.
there, and they either use it or lose it, so we don't have to keep track of who's got variances, and somebody comes back and says, oh, well, before you built the subdivision, I had a variance to put a swimming pool in Duff's backyard.
But you should know
Is
that.
Dave, is,
You should be aware that,
I'm not sure Dave brought this up, I think somebody
Somebody.
brought it up to Jessica.
will somebody let Dave know that he should notify this guy that he's got X amount of months left?
he already knows.
Oh, does he?
Well, yeah, well, it's him right here.
No, no.
No, no,
No,
we're
it
talking
was
No,
different
this-
guy.
It was
This is a
the guy
different-
with the shed that had to move the shed.
Over on Fraser
Oh.
Road, next to the store.
Oh,
Remember him?
yeah, oh, I do remember him, and he agreed to move it.
Yeah.
He did. And that was the least expensive option for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you want the minutes to reflect, somebody should tell, ask Dave Russell to go tell the guy, you only got 6 months left. You make a motion and ask for it to tell him.
I would make a motion that we do so, have Dave Rushow notify him that of his,
Joy put in the minutes that Dave go tell, what's his name? Mr. Borchard.
How,
The
how,
time is running on his variance and
can you spell his last name?
Yeah, it's
B-
Bourcier.
Do we have his
It's in our
address?
agenda.
Yeah, I know.
It's 4821 Fraser Road.
3821.
And I wouldn't say he has 6 months, I wouldn't say anything like that. He has 12 months from the date of approval, right? So that way we're not getting into,
actually 1 year, but I don't
but
know.
that way we're not getting into, well, was it actually September? Because I think it was the August meeting.
Yeah, but I think we gave him the truth, they would come back with, that he was gonna see about getting one of the sheds moved and
That's
how
right.
much that was gonna cost and he agreed to move it.
I think this
You're
was the
just
meeting where he
correcting
came
me. Yeah,
back.
it's the September 19th meeting is when it was approved.
Is that conditionally approved or?
Conditionally, yep.
So it's probably fine to approve it. There's a motion, if you get a second, you can take a roll call in.
I'll second.
thank you.
And then you won't see me. No, my 4-year-old grandson hits actually
Sorry to hear that.
Columbus. So we're going down to be with the other grandkids.
Yes. You made the motion?
Yes,
Absolutely.
and Amy second.
Seconded.
Well, I'd rather be here making jokes with you.
So would we, I think you can go with your grandson.
And so I got, supposed to have a colonoscopy.
With the motion to inform Dave Russell.
Grandson is
To have Dave Rushow inform Mr. whatever his name was,
Okay.
Monitor meeting Monday night, so I could
Uh,
approve something.
that he had 12 months or a year from the date that it was approved.
Okay.
Chuck's gonna retire.
And it is supposed to be roll call.
I'm gonna have him ask him to come here and do.
He said roll call vote.
Oh, okay.
I had a question, I asked, the favor, behind the schoolhouse. He said there's a special hearing.
You want to call? Yes, to notify.
Cassie.
Okay, roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Connie?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Is your first name Jim? Jim. Yes, right?
Okay, yes.
All right. Joy? Yes.
Duh.
Duff?
Yes, yes.
Motion carried.
All right, any other communications?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Support.
All right, meeting adjourned.